The Atheist Debates Patreon Project presents I Was Wrong. Hey everybody, I was wrong. It's happened many times. I've gotten lots of things wrong, and sometimes I like to post corrections, and sometimes it's an apology because I did something wrong or said something wrong or should have done something differently. In this case, it's not so much a mea culpa as a moment of clarity. We are, in fact, stupider than I imagined we could be, and some of us significantly more than I anticipated. This isn't a political post, and it's not about Trump or MS-13, though I will be talking about both of those because this is about public reaction to things and what I thought was happening, and I was wrong about what was actually happening. For those who don't know, there's an individual who came to the United States illegally and then was offered essentially a variety of protection from the courts about not being able to be deported to El Salvador. And the Trump administration basically snatched him up and shipped him off to a human rights violating prison in El Salvador, claiming that he was an MS-13 gang member. And when people started pushing back on this, because, well, first of all, there's nothing intrinsically illegal about being in a gang or being in MS-13, or how do you tell the difference between someone who's in MS-13 and someone who's formally a member of MS-13? At the end of the day, there has to be some sort of crime that somebody's charged with, and people were pushing back on this. And so the Trump administration decided to offer some proof that, in fact, this individual was MS-13. And so Trump famously held up this photograph. There's a picture of him holding the photograph and then the photograph. And it says Kilmar Abrego Garcia, MS-13 tattoo. And when I saw it, right off the bat, people on social media were saying, oh my God, look how dumb Trump is. He thinks the letters MS and the numbers 1, 3 were actually tattooed on this guy when it's so obviously an edited photograph. And I always try, even though some people will suggest that it doesn't happen, I always try to find a way to give the benefit of the doubt, to be as charitable as possible. And so when you look at this, it is very obvious that someone took a picture of this person's tattoos and put in the letters MS and the numbers 1 and 3, specifically to show what those tattoos supposedly mean. And so there's like an M, marijuana, S, smile, 1 for, I don't know, one God maybe, and then a 3 for a skull. I don't know how it fits, but in any case, they were essentially making the case that these image tattoos were a code for MS-13 membership. And what I thought happened was that they presented this to Trump, explained it to him, and then Trump said something like, that's a good illustration of the point, let's go ahead and show it. And all the people who were going, look how dumb Trump was, I told them, please stop being ridiculous. Trump is not saying it literally says MS-13 on this person's knuckles. He was informed that this was us showing what these tattoos mean, and that's all. That's all that was said. I was wrong. I assumed that pretty much anybody looking at this knows that it's edited, and that it's edited specifically to make that point. So I spent my time focusing on how that point was wrong. That being in a gang doesn't mean you're still in a gang, neither is a crime. There needs to be some evidence of a crime. You also have to have due process. You don't just get to snatch people up. I went through all those points, and I ripped into some people about, please stop making all of us look stupid by just assuming that because Trump is stupid, and he is, that he's this stupid, because he's probably not, and he's got handlers and people giving him information. But now there's an interview that's happened in the Oval Office with one of the major networks, where the reporter pushes back saying that, hey, you guys showed these tattoos there. And Trump says, yes, he had MS-13 tattooed on his hand. And the reporter says something along the lines of, well, that is what those tattoos supposedly mean. And Trump's like, no, he actually had MS-13 tattooed on his hands. Did you not see the picture? And the reporter's like, yeah, I saw the picture. That's been Photoshopped. Oh, it's been Photoshopped. Yeah, Trump's being dismissive. It became clear in an instant that the president of the United States genuinely believed that this person had not just marijuana, smile, cross, and skull, but MS1 and 3 tattooed on their hand. So somebody decided that we need to put this together in a way that explains it, and we'll show it to the president, and our brilliant leader will understand and be able to use this. But the fact is that Trump is incredibly stupid and genuinely believed that this tattoo with these letters were on this person's hand. He couldn't even understand that someone was describing, hey, this isn't what's actually on his hand. This is us showing you what these things mean. Now, we've all shared something probably that's untrue. We've all fallen for some clickbait somewhere or some sensationalized headline. In the last few weeks, I've almost had to remove myself from social media because I find myself correcting things all the time. People will post, oh, look what this person did. And it's something from 2022 where they got 4 life sentences in 2023. And I'm like, is there nothing going on today that we have to keep reaching back in 2022? Because I'm finding something new all the time. We've all also doubted the authenticity of something. Just yesterday, Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted out that he was glad to hear that President Trump was considering or would consider becoming Pope. And Lindsey Graham urged the Papal Council and Catholics to be open-minded to this dark horse. Now, in any other world, this would just be an obvious joke. And yet, in this world, I don't know what the justification is for assuming that someone's joking, but let's think about that for just a second, because I immediately got pushback when I shared it. When I first saw it, DJ Grothy had posted it, and I said, this can't be real. And then DJ sent, posted the link to it, and I was already in the middle of looking it up to try to show, this wasn't real. And it turns out it's real. And so DJ and I had a brief back and forth. Thank you. And then I shared it and stuff blew up and people were like, oh, stop falling for the trolls. Oh, he's just joking. And when I pushed back on one of the people who said he was just joking, they're like, well, Trump was just joking. And I was like, whether Trump was joking or not isn't the issue here. The issue here is Lindsey Graham's, sitting here propping this up. Well, they're just trolling. They're just trying to distract. Okay. Even if that was all true, we now have a president of the United States, after the death of a pope, suggesting jokingly or seriously that he would consider becoming pope, and a senator, a sitting senator in the United States, announcing publicly, whether a joke or not, that he thinks people should be open to this idea of the U.S. president becoming pope. This stuff isn't going to get easier. Skepticism isn't cynicism. Skepticism is not about rejecting claims. It's about reserving judgment. Skepticism isn't about denying truth. It's about defending reason and making sure that our internal models of reality are accurate. It is a pragmatic goal of making sure that however you picture reality when you close your eyes and think about it is reliable. That the internal camera that you're using to snapshot the world is in focus and unfiltered. Skepticism is about using the best tools to reach the best conclusions and exclude the worst ones until such time as they are warranted by evidence. With AI images and voice and video, this is only going to get more difficult. With authoritarian notions of controlling what people can say, what message is consistent with the administration, it's going to get worse because videos like this could just vanish. Images like this, in the same way that this is a picture of the President of the United States holding up an image that was edited probably for clarity, that then was misused and misunderstood by the president, all of that can be edited and scrubbed as well. There's the old adage of believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, which is another exaggeration for clarity. But at some point, it's going to be, can you believe anything? What methods do you have that weed out intentional deception, confusion, misinformation? We have built the information superhighway and given people access to it such that one person's educational informative video is on the same footing as somebody else's, even if what they're talking about is not founded on the same level of diligent consideration of evidence. The United States has definitely elected some gullible, unintelligent, confused, cartoonish, incompetent, sloppy thinkers and non-thinkers from all parties. And there's a temptation, I guess, in the let's find the bright side of anything, to take comfort in the fact that we're finally achieving that old adage of anyone can be president, that level of truthiness that ensures that our leaders, rather than being exceptional, rather than being examples of the best of us, are now in some cases examples of the worst of us. Hey, but balance is good. We had some smart people run things. Maybe we should have some stupid people run things. We had some people who were experts in the law working on this, and we have some people who don't understand the basics of the law working on this. Shouldn't that balance be good? In every one of the objections that we can launch to what's going on, skepticism is as close to the best solution as I can imagine. We are combating ideas that the truth lies somewhere in the middle. Not necessarily. Well, balance is important. Not necessarily. If we balance the truth with lies, we end up with crap. If we allow, and I'm not just saying, only the elite should control. I'm not advocating for that. I'm advocating for minimal competence. I would like maximal competence, but I'm advocating for minimal competence. People who are not prone to believing a photoshopped image. If you go back in time and look at the Cottingley fairies, you can look it up when you're done with this. They were obvious faked images. When not a lot of people had a good understanding of photography and what was possible, these were fairies that had been cut out of a magazine and posed on flowers and had pictures taken with these innocent little girls who couldn't possibly be fooling anybody. And yet they fooled Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and many others. You have photos of UFOs that are hubcaps thrown in the sky or hats thrown in the sky, and people who just don't understand what can possibly happen jump to conclusions and spread misinformation. This is where we're at. And while it would be very nice to talk about how much better we understand the world and how much better we understand epistemology and how much better we are at evaluating claims and less likely to fall into traps of untruths. The reality is, this is going to get more difficult, not less difficult. And if we continue to jump to conclusions, to assume the best or the worst, we continue to poison the well in our own thinking. And so I was wrong. And unfortunately, the president is even dumber than I thought, and so are a bunch of other people. And you know what? I'm probably dumber than I thought too, but that doesn't mean we're all equally dumb. That doesn't mean that we can't tell what the truth is. And the truth is, that image is edited, which I think was done honestly for clarity and not in an attempt to deceive the president or anyone else. But when you have a president who will not be challenged and who only permits people who are going to go along with whatever he says, then when the president misunderstands something, it just becomes true to so many people. I saw a recent poll that suggested that somewhere in the neighborhood of 71% of a particular category feel that President Trump is the most reliable source of truth. I don't have any other way to end this other than I was wrong. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.